Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Sunday, the 18th of August, 2024. And last week, we may have seen a gold and silver pivot, with prices rising quite substantially, and market participants expecting further rises this coming week. Are we going to see all-time highs once again, which we've seen this past week for gold? And are we going to see silver breach that $31, $32 and $33 level? Well, listen in and let's take a look. Now first, just a quick reminder, we've set up a second channel entitled Finances Do Matter, covering a whole array of financial topics. We've placed a link in the description box and comment section below for those who've not as yet joined that channel. Now gold rose $77 last week, rising from $2,432 to $2,509, having hit a high of $2,512 and a low of $2,424, a rise of 3.1%. Gold spread between high and low was $88. Last weekend we said gold would trade between 2375 and 2500, but placed an outlier figure of 2525 as we did suspect that if the inflation figures were good, we could see a late week rise as momentum gathered. Apart from the last few hours of trading on Friday, gold held within the 2500 level but broke out a little in very late trading. Silver more than recovered its previous week's losses, rising $1.55 from $27.48 to $29.03, having hit a high of $30.31 and as low as $27.23, a rise of 5.6%. The difference between its high and low was $3.08, though to be fair, the high was only achieved, as has been happening in the past couple of weeks, by a momentary spike lasting just a minute or so, where it jumped literally from $29.02 to $30.31 and fell right back down again on Friday. Last weekend we predicted silver would trade between $26.50 and $29.50, which it did apart from that 1 minute momentary spike. In sterling terms, silver closed up 93 pence, just shy of a pound, at £22.47. And in euros, it closed up 1.20 euros at 27.38 euros. Gold to silver ratio fell 2 points from 88.5 to 1 to 86.4 to 1. Bitcoin is down roughly $2,000 at $59,278. Now looking at equities, well, they were higher because of good inflation news, which we will cover in a few moments. The Dow Jones is up 1,162 points at 40,659. The S&P 500 is up 210 at 5,554. The Nasdaq is up 886 at 17,631. And the FTSE 100 index in the UK is also up 143 points at 8,311. Oils were basically unchanged. Brent crude up just 2 cents. That's up 2 cents at 79.68, and WTI crude down 19 cents at $76.65. Would like to see those prices lower, which will then impact inflation. The dollar index stands at 102.46, that's down 0.67 on the week. Now last weekend we stated, quote, the upcoming CPI and PPI reports are crucial this coming week, as if they show weak inflation, this could prompt Fed cuts, potentially sending gold to $2,500. Well, the PPI rate, that's the Producer Price Index rate for the year, fell from 2.7% to 2.2%. But the core PPI rate marginally rose from 3.2 to 3.3% for the year. This was seen as an acceptable indicator. So when the CPI inflation figures were announced on Wednesday, with the CPI year over year falling from 3% to 2.9%, and core CPI year over year falling from 3.3 to 3.2%, one would have expected a nice jolt in precious metals. But this did not happen. as these figures were close to expectations, and Thursday's retail sales figures were quite strong for July at 1%, but that's plus 1%, compared with expectations of 0.3%. And this left the market a little undecided, especially as this was retail sales' biggest gain in 1.5 years, as automobile sales rebounded. However, the expectations of this coming week's Fed minutes on Wednesday and Friday's speech by Jerome Powell at the Jackson Hole retreat has invigorated traders into believing that a rate cut for September is assured, and they are hoping for more dovish tones coming out of the Fed. Interestingly, whether it's an organized leak or not, but the narrative circulating trading rooms is that the Fed now believes that it can maintain high employment levels and curb inflation at the same time. And if this is true and the economy grows, then silver for sure will see a nice burst, as well as gold. But let's just wait and see on that one. So, gold has hit and surpassed its record high as the dollar weakens and geopolitical tensions escalate. Markets are expecting Powell to announce an easing cycle at Jackson Hole on Friday. Inflation data points to a 25 basis point rate cut in September, and ongoing conflict in the Middle East should all add further impetus behind the gold price. It is difficult to disagree with this analysis, though we do suspect the Fed will still, at least from a rhetorical point of view, remain a little cautious. With an election around the corner in the United States and the Fed being criticized by former President Trump, one cannot rule out the desire, at least for the Fed, to lower interest rates to ensure a Democratic win. One hopes they're not that politically guided or biased, but hey-ho, when people's careers are at stake, who knows what may happen. Silver has broken the recent resistance level of $28.50, which is positive moving forward. However, we must not forget the fact that the impact from geopolitical tensions could have on industrial demand. That said, events for the moment are looking quite reasonable for silver, especially over the last 12 months. Silver has risen by some 28% compared with gold's 32%. So where you may see some catch-up, providing industrial demand is not adversely affected. We must also be careful that markets do not run away with themselves prior to Powell's comments next Friday. As if he delivers not what is expected, we could see the euphoria fall back a little. So, what are we expecting to happen this coming week? Well, we envisage gold will trade between $2,450 and $2,550, with $2,425 and $2,575 as outliers. And silver to trade between 28 and 31, with 27 to 31.50 as outliers. What do you think is going to happen this week? Please do share your thoughts. Meanwhile, thank you so much for listening. We'd appreciate it if you would give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, press the bell sign, pop on over to Finances Do Matter and subscribe there if you haven't already done so. Have a great weekend and have a very prosperous week ahead, but for sure, it certainly looks as if in the coming months ahead, we should see even more euphoria in the gold and silver markets.